because I'm out of shape, so breathe with me. Woo! Gary Floyd is in our yeah. Woo! So for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Veronica Valles, and I am deeply grateful to be a licensed practitioner and a minister in training here at the center. Dr. Peter Weldes is off at the convention in Orlando. They're all doing their business over there at Disneyland. But we are here today. Well, first, how about an update? Would you like a ministerial update? So I have completed all 6 exams. And so 6 times, pass, done. A few more classes, several papers, but those are easy to do. Graduation June 6th, so I thank you for your love and support. And when I finished my test on Wednesday, literally the sun came out. Like, yeah! So I apologize for the gloomy weather. I was just a little stressed. So anyhow, so we have gathered here. I'm just so grateful. We got Gary, I got Alva, I got everybody's here. It's just so beautiful. So we are moving through Paul Ferrini's The Laws of Love. And so today we're going to talk about the 7th and 8th spiritual laws, which is perfection, but in terms of mastery and then healing. So we're going to journey through that together. We're going to have a great time. Just open your hearts. Just be present for all that good that is just revealing in this moment. And so with that, I'd like to recognize anybody who's here for the first time. So if you're a visitor, it's your first time, will you please raise your hand? Oh yeah, I love you. Stand up. Stand up. That's fabulous.
Senior Minister of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas. And we're delighted that you found us here on the web. You can find our Sunday services on our website by every Wednesday. And we love that you can look at us online and explore these spiritual teachings. Feel free to explore our archives. It goes back a number of years with lots of special topics and amazing speakers. You can also sign up for our email news, My Daily Words, and my blog, Spiritual Living with Dr. Petra. If you're looking for a spiritual community, come visit us. Or if you're just in Dallas, drop on by. We'd love to give you a hug. Welcome home.
Everything beneath the sun breathes like a harmonium. Pure perfection has begun, shining like a midnight sun. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone. Let me be an instrument, guided by and heaven sent. May these grapes of pain ferment, alchemize to love's content. Ever be a sacrament, knowing God is my intent. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Rolling like a thundercloud, let me live my love out loud. Standing for mankind and proud, baptized in a holy shroud. Peace be still and know me now. God is in all I have found. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Spinning like a prayer field.
Let me know your name.
Moving like Ezekiel's wheel. Nothing like a kiss seals the spirit I've become. Knowing what I'm here for, rowing on the distant shores, flowing from the infinite, God in everyone. Flowing like a prayer field, turning like Ezekiel's wheels. Nothing like a kiss seals the spirit I've become. Knowing what I'm here for, rowing on the distant shores, flowing from the infinite, God in everyone. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone.
Gary Floyd. Thank you for making me cry. Imagine what the world would look like if we saw God in everyone. So I invite you to turn to the person next to you and just say, my name is, say your name, and the person next to you is going to say, hello, God. And then just do it a couple of times. Hello, God. God in everyone. What a beautiful way to begin our day. God in everyone. We're moving through the 7th and 8th spiritual law in Paul Ferrini's The Laws of Love. And so we're going to talk about the law of perfection, which really is about our potentiality being expressed, and the law of healing. But it always comes to that fundamental truth, recognizing the indwelling presence that is God, that is our life, God as us. We moved in January through the 4 kingdoms of consciousness. And because it's spirit in this human expression, it's all God, we have some prickly particularities and ways that we move through life. But really, fundamentally, it is always and only God. Ernest Holmes always said the only thing that we need to know is just one. Our language can be, in trying to describe the mystery, dualistic, and trying to understand the paradox. But really, it is God, always God, only God. In the 7th spiritual law, Paul Ferrini talks about that each human being has a gift to give, and he must discover it and give it to the world as best as he can, or he will not achieve his potential. Or she will not achieve her potential. We will not achieve our potential. When we fundamentally understand that we are here as unique, authentic expressions, God as us, that each one of us have brilliant gifts to share in this world, and it is our divine right to share these gifts. We all have this potential within us that is seeking to reveal itself. This divine urge, this divine impulsion, this divine light that is seeking to express. When we understand that perfect, it is not about perfectionism. It is about actualizing our full potentiality. Paul Ferrini mentions Abraham Maslow and the hierarchy of needs. And if anybody's taken psychology, you know that we always understand that this began in 1943. We have basic needs that first need to be met. He talked about our physiological needs for food, water, then safety needs, belongingness and love, esteem needs. But he said that every person within the core of our beingness has this need of self-actualization to achieve our full potential. 20 years later, in 1963, he gathered a bunch of psychologists, and they created that third force of psychology called the humanistic movement, humanistic psychology. Because at the center of each of us is good. At the center of each of us is this creative potential that is just desiring to express. Self-actualized people, first of all, he says they're not perfect. Because we have this thing about perfection that we're going to talk about. But he says they're present-centered. They're in the moment. They choose growth experiences. They're creative, and creative doesn't necessarily mean artistic, but they're creative within their lives. They are problem solvers instead of being centered in the problem. And they continue to have what's called these peak experiences. This experience is what we call God, the divine, in every moment. A self-actualized person consciously chooses to grow, is consistently growing and learning, makes mistakes, is aware of the mistakes, but does not allow the mistakes to lead their lives. A self-actualized person is actually happier and joyful, and they have the capacity that once they're experiencing and expressing in their groove, that they are always involved with other causes, because once you understand your divine potential, there is something within us that wants to see everybody else shine their light, stand in their glory, and live from the fullness of who they are. Each one of us here has that potential within us by our very divine nature. We are God. God as us, that full potentiality, that brilliant light seeking to reveal itself. And as we move through the dance of light and shadow in this world, that's just the textures of our humanity. We're not perfect. There's no one in this world that is perfect. We have this sweet little ego that tries to, put us in a box, and you can't do this, and you shouldn't have said that, and oh my God, did you really do that? And for whatever reason in this human experience and expression, I find it very interesting that whatever this infinite intelligence that created us with this fabulous thing we call the ego. We need it. It's what allows us to move in the world. But it's a curious little thing, don't you think? It takes things personally, It takes issues. One person says this, and who in this room has not had the experience of their ego, that then all of a sudden the story is created over here. And what Paul Ferrini is saying, and what Abraham Maslow is saying, is that we have this glory within us seeking to express. But there's a thing called perfectionism, this little quirky, it feels like this entity that sometimes stands in our way. Anne Lamott, the author, says, perfectionism is the voice of the oppressor, the enemy of the people. It will keep you cramped and insane your whole life. Am I right? Who is that voice? What is that voice of the inner critic that's like, oh, I have to do it this way. It's not perfect. You know what? I just can't do that project. I can't sing that song. I better not do that poem in public. Oh, please don't look at my art. No, don't come to my house. We create this box, but I have news for you. There's no box in God. There's just the fullness and the wholeness of who you are. But perfectionism is that insidious voice that resides with shame, with blame, with judgment, that something got seated within our psyche that grew into the shadow side, and until we illuminate it, shine the light on it, understand that perfectionism is not the way, we're going to talk about mastery instead. But it keeps us scared. And what is the difference between scared and sacred? One letter, the letter C, moved. The letter C, which stands for me, consciousness. Perfectionism keeps us in fear. It is that fear of failure and that fear of being self-conscious. Now, who in the room has had that experience? Let's be honest. Anybody here? Oh, thank you, we're not alone. But what voice in your head do you hear? Who's willing just to name a few things that they hear sometimes in their head? So what I hear is like, oh, girl, really? Really? You think you can do that? Who do you think you are? Anybody else willing just to share something that they might hear?
Why did you say yes to that?
Why did you say yes to that? Who else?
They don't like you.
They don't like you.
You can't do that.
You can't do that. What else?
You are.
Huh?
Who do you think?
Who do you think you are? Is that the voice of the divine that is our life? No. That's that aspect of our ego. That's that inner critic that got developed. But that voice has no power. Paul Ferrini says it's not about perfectionism. It is actually about mastery. As we move into mastery, mastery is cultivating your skills, cultivating your potentiality. You're committed to the learning process. You practice. You have a teacher. It takes time and skill, and it's a divine calling. So here's the thing. We take classes because it's a process. The process requires a commitment. The commitment requires discipline. The discipline requires practice. It is all so that we may unleash our greatest good. He says we must have a teacher. See, the student becomes the teacher, but is always forever the student. But we have a teacher to be our guide, so that our outer guide becomes the thing that activates and awakens our inner guide. When our inner guide leads the way, that's wisdom, it's understanding, it's love, it's creativity, it's passion that's expressing as us, in, through, and as us. The teacher knows when to push you. The teacher knows when to praise you. He talks about the apprentice because that's what we are when we're learning. And see, as adults, sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. I'm 50 years old. I should know everything. Blah, 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 blah. No, we're constantly growing. We're constantly learning. I have no problem saying, I don't know, but I'm sure someone here may know, and if we don't know, we'll grow into it. In philosophy, you actually move through what you think you know till you really get to the truth that you don't know, and what you get to the truth is that divine quality that really is present. But to be able to stand in the truth, to have a teacher to push us, to have that discipline and practice, to take the time. It takes time. It's a commitment. So look, I can go over here and play the piano. I took piano when I was in 5th grade, but if I did this, would you really want to stay and listen to me all day? I don't think so. But Gary Floyd, he's a master. Robin Hackett, she's a master. But I'm a master at what is mine to do. And I continue to practice, and I continue to grow. I continue to learn. So each one of us has that potentiality that is seeking to express. Mastery is not what you do, it's how you do it. How do you show up at work? How do you show up in your relationships? How do you show up here at the Center for Spiritual Living? How do you show up out on the streets? It's not about the what, it's about the how. In the how, we allow. When we allow our divine brilliance to shine the light. When we allow greater beauty to express itself. When we allow love to lead the way, the world becomes lighter and brighter. But mastery is a process. It's a practice. We engage in it every day. And as we move and groove and grow, we have teachers from different places. We take these layers and we move them so then the brilliant diamond light that is our life gets to shine in the world. We get to stand in our brilliance and authenticity. We come to the Center for Spiritual Living because we understand that there's one power is God. There's one light that is God, there's one truth that is God, and is God as us. Each one of us. When we say that we want you to celebrate your authenticity, then we don't turn around saying, girl, Dina, you should have done this, and you could have done that. What about this? That's not being unconditional. Dina knows I love her. I'm just messing with her. Being unconditional and standing in authenticity, seeing God everywhere as everyone, is to stand in the brilliance of the way Spirit shows up. We are here in community, Paul Ferrini talks about, to grow, to learn. We come into these healing communities, and he talks about having circles all over the world, but we come so we may be accepted. We come so we may experience our own forgiveness. We come so we're not scared, but we're standing in the sacred. We come so we may unleash our glory, let go of the story. I wrote a spoken word piece called It's My Story and I'm Not Sticking to It. It was too long to read today. I wrote it in 2006 and I looked at the time. I finished at 12:36 in the morning because we get stuck in our stories. Oh, I should do this. I got to be this. My mama wants this. My daddy said that. You know, my neighbor's doing this. Oh, you know. No, we have our own gifts. We have that potentiality within us that is seeking to express, that divine impulsion, that divine urge, and it is our birthright. It is the necessity. We are, like Emerson said, the organs of the divine. We allow it to flow and grow. And when we bump up against the edges, we still love each other unconditionally. We see beyond the personality, beyond the condition, beyond time, and say, look how God is showing up. Now, I'm not saying it's always easy. I'm not sitting around kumbaya all day long. You know, I have my moments, you know. Spirit in this human realm. But it's that understanding that it is a practice, that it is a process. We take spiritual classes here at the center in order to grow, in order to learn, in order to understand universal principles, activate them in our lives, and then take our gifts and in that mastery share them. Because Paul Ferrini said there's giving and there's receiving. As we receive, then we give. When we give here and we mirror to each other the possibilities, when we stand in the truth when we're having a challenging time, but you got someone who can know your truth, when we have these universal principles that we can activate every day in our lives, that is the power that is God that is expressing. Now, I had the great pleasure of meeting Shirley MacLaine and meditating with her in Santa Fe. Now, Shirley MacLaine is a pioneer. In the 1980s, with her book Out on a Limb, she risked everything to tell the truth of her experience. Everything. When you meditate with Shirley, she's got this power. I worked in the film industry, so I'm not impressed with celebrity. People are people. But she's got this power, this spiritual practice that is so deep that when she did that chakra meditation, my throat chakra popped. But Shirley, in her book and her movie, Out on a Limb, went out on the limb to say, I am God. And not because she wanted to, because her guide at the time was sharing with her the possibility. So, team, if we can bring it to the video.
You want to know a good exercise that helps you get in touch with the realization that we each have God inside of us?
Exercise.
Here's what you do. Just stand up, hold your arms out like this, and say, the kingdom of heaven is within. I love myself.
The kingdom of heaven is within. I love myself.
No, wait, better than that. Say, I and God are one. No, wait, better than that. I got the best one. This is the best one. Just say, I am God.
David, I can't say that.
See how little you think of yourself? You can't even say the words.
I am God. I am God.
A little louder, please, with maybe a little more conviction.
I am God. I am. Look, if I'm God, what does that make you?
Well, we always see in others what we see in ourselves. I am God. I am God.
I am God.
I am God.
I am God. I am God.
I am God.
I am God. I am God.
I am God. I am God. I am God.
Not you. I'm
God. Thank you, Septima. I am God. It took great courage to stand in that truth. And she got a lot of flack for it. Because people don't understand that the divine presence, that indwelling presence, is our life. Each one of us. Oh, come on. So the process becomes, the practice becomes, that as we experience God as me, we recognize that in every moment it is the divine that's as me expressing. I just have a picture to show you because there's moments in my life when I slip into a little bit of amnesia, all right? So God as me, or we're operating from false beliefs and we're acting like a what? I can't say it. Ever had those moments? Come on, let's be honest. Ever had those moments where a little bit of amnesia slipped in? Can't say the word, but there's times like, oh, it happened to me yesterday. You know, I wasn't present, I wasn't listening, I had my own ideas, my ego was reacting. I went home, you know, and then I realized that I was not standing in the presence of God and I had to go apologize. Now, this just makes me laugh because when I'm in the mode, you know, if I can think of Donkey on Shrek, you know, it can make me like, girl, you need to settle down. God has you, not act like a, you know. So the truth becomes that when we have mastered our potentiality, when we're living through the flow, Paul Reedy says, as we achieve mastery, we begin to move in the creative flow of the universal love energy of the universe. That's what it's all about. It's the divine love expressing as Ernest Holmes says, perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. Think of that. Perfect God. Perfect man is human. Perfect man. Perfect being. If we can keep this as our mantra as we move about the day, as we encounter God in various ways, as we experience the donkey of Shrek, you know, let's just be honest, we're spirit in this human realm, that if we can get to that understanding that is the love that is flowing, that is the awareness of the perfection of who we are. That is the awareness of the potentiality that's seeking to express. And that is the awareness that leads us into healing. 8 spiritual laws, you do not heal alone. The healing of one abates the healing of all. Healing is just coming into balance. Disease is when we're out of balance. It's coming into balance, recognizing the God within, tuning in to our lives and our expression, listening to the wisdom of the one that is our life, making our choices, because we can have these insights and awareness. But we must listen and then move our feet, taking insights into positive action, that the healing for us is the healing for all. He says the wound is a doorway. Each one of us experiences some type of challenge in life. There's something about this human experience. Even though we're the divine made manifest, but there's challenges that come along the way that get seeded in us when we're little. I mentor second graders, and I watched this one girl, Sequoia, who wrote this fabulous book. And I love Sequoia because at our last event, she's in second grade. She gathered her friends to pray. This is a powerful child. And God asked her, is amazing. But she read her story, this little heart that she made, and they have to go, you know, add. But what she forgot was the last part, which was that I am grateful. And the teacher said in front of the other kids that, well, you forgot that part. And what came out of her mouth was, and I'll have to take points off. And Sequoia froze. Her eyes started watering. You could see the ego doing its thing. I'm not good enough. I didn't do it right. I'm bad. Everything. Her eyes just kept watering. And the way that the teacher had it set up is beautifully, because this teacher is really empowering them in BPs, how to communicate. But she has it where you say one thing that you love, and then she's teaching them constructive criticism. Because we all have room for growth. But Sequoia was just blank. And we're like, come back. And then she finally went to sit, and people are like, oh, we love this, we love that. And then they repeated what the teacher said, just put in the thankful part. But she didn't hear any of that. Here, a wound could be seeded. But I went over to talk to her. What are you feeling? Tell me what you're feeling. And the tears start pouring, you know? And I'm like, you know what, I bet you're hurt, and you're scared, and you're sad, because you really value, being creative and sharing. She's like, I go, Sequoia, you just forgot the last page. Let's get creative. Let's take the staples out, let's put it in. And to give her another way of reframing the situation, of seeing it differently, it's like, oh, I didn't listen to that last part. It doesn't make you wrong. And so it's that invitation to not go into perfectionism. But Paul says the wound is the doorway. It wakes us up. There's something seeking to express. The challenge is not necessary, but we have challenges. The pain wakes us up. The symptoms have a message. It's a wake-up call to live. Now, I took this photograph in Peru. I'm actually going to Peru from August 14th to 22nd, and so if you want more information, we'll talk about that later. But every day we would walk when we were in Cusco, down the streets, you know, these ancient Incan stones, the doors were closed though. These beautiful blue doors, these beautiful green doors. And on the last day, the door was open. And when I looked in, there was a little garden in the back. And this became my spiritual practices symbol. Because behind the closed door of condition, the seeming closed door of condition, lies the garden of paradise, which I say the kingdom of heaven within. And so as that is my spiritual practice, that whatever the wound is, the wound doesn't lead the way. It becomes the teacher. It becomes the opportunity to grow. It becomes a place from which I can shine my light. But it doesn't keep me down. It doesn't form into shame or blame. It doesn't get contained into perfectionism. It is a place that allows me then to unleash my light and heal myself, so then that when I go out into my community, there's that possibility and that knowingness that if she has healed and he has healed, oh, I can certainly heal. We all have that potential within us to live in our greatness, to live in our glory. And Paul Ferrini says our spiritual practice is the key. It is the key. It brings us back to our center. He says when we can find the center, we stop our reactive thinking and behavior. We get grounded and grow roots. This is how our spiritual practice deepens. It stops being a seeking after something outside of ourselves and becomes looking within our own hearts and minds. We do the spiritual practice to deepen our awareness of our spiritual reality. There's a Sufi story about birds, and God created the world, and everything seemed to be going great, you know, and the birds came up to God, and they're like beaten and bruised, and they're dragging themselves in. They're like, God, what's up? What's up with like making us small and having little beaks? And you got these big predators out there, and they're picking on us, and they're beating us up, and this just isn't fun. Can you do something about it? And God looked at them. He's like, okay, I hear you. All right, let me see what I can do. And then does what God needs to do. And so anyhow, sends them off on their way. The next day, the birds come back. And they're bloodier, and they're bruised, and they're dragged. And they're like, God, what's up with this thing you put on my back? I can't run now. Those predators, the dogs, the dinosaurs, the cats, now they're really getting me. And now we're really getting bruised up. And God looks at them. My dear, the thing on your back, those are wings. And when you learn how to use them, you'll learn how to fly. When you learn how to fly, you'll be out of danger. It will take you higher. Now go practice until you learn how to fly, and then off the birds went. And that's what the Sufis talk about, our spiritual practice. If we do not use our spiritual practice, then we're not able to fly. When we don't use our spiritual practice, we're not able to fly. We make up excuses. That's that voice of, you know, I don't have enough time. I'm busy. Oh, the Olympics are on, you know. I got to go watch, you know. But to make the commitment for your spiritual practice. Affirmations, they're daily. They're in every moment. That's why you see mala beads and traditions are constantly in prayer. They're constantly shifting their awareness to the presence of God. If we do it once a month, our lives aren't going to change. No shame or blame, but it becomes a practice. Spiritual mind treatment. We are activating the universal law. These are our wings. We get to fly. We get to fly as high as we want. So when we are grounded in the center of who we are able to fly to the glory, because all healing, Ernest Holmes says, is a revealing of truth. Ernest Holmes talks about the light when he talks about spiritual healing. He talks about that within us is that light of God, the divine pattern of perfection. In the Anatomy of Healing Prayer, Ernest Holmes Papers, number 2. This is the book where he talks about mysticism and light. He says the healing light, he says within every healthy organ, tissue, nerve, or blood cell radiating a vibrant energy of light. His logic was that the human form, being a perfect creation of God's body, it would manifest the pure energy of God that is light. He says there is a light that lighteth every man's path. Don't think you're silly if you believe in it. I've seen it many times. It is real. He talks about that when we are coming from our light, when our light is activated, we're living in our genius. It's not conceit. He says conceit is when you're not living in your genius. when you're allowing the lower self to lead the way. He says, let us individually then, in silence, the silence of our own contemplation, take time to feel that light and see that light. So imagine if you lived your life from your pure potential. You awaken to the brilliant nature, the radiant nature of who you are. Imagine each one of us. It takes one light to dispel the darkness. But imagine the world if each one of us were like these luminous sky lanterns. This is from Thailand. But imagine if we saw everybody as a unique expression of God. Imagine if we lived from the sacred instead of scared. Imagine what the world would be like. God everywhere. Do you believe that you are light? If you don't, we are here to support you in the awakening of that truth. That's why we come to the Center for Spiritual Living. So turn to somebody next to you and say, you are the light of God. You are the light of God. I am the light of God. We are the light of God. Again, somebody else, you are the light of God. We are the light of God. We are the love of God. I am sacred. You are sacred. We are sacred. God as me. Say it like you really mean it. God as me. God as me. Really, the light within. God as me. Open your heart. God as me. God as you. God as we. When you take this into the sacred silence, you awaken to the truth of who you are. Go within just for a moment. Feel that energy, because when we do these affirmations together, it's not just me trying to get you all to do something. It's that activation of the light within you. It is taking that light and letting it pulsate in, as, and through you. Go within and in the center of your beingness. Imagine in your mind's eye that heart space, this brilliant, glowing light. It is your divine luminosity. It is the radiance of who you are. It is the glory of your infinite nature. And just listen to these words from 3 different traditions about light. Breathe it in. Matthew 5. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to the Father who is in heaven, as we know as the indwelling presence. The Upanishads, the Hindu text, the light that shines above the heavens and above this world, the light that shines in the highest world, beyond which there are no others, that is the light that shines in the hearts of man. And in Buddhism, thy own consciousness, shining, void, and inseparable from the great body of radiance, hath no birth nor death, and it is the immutable light. Breathe into this awareness that your life is the life of God. When one person awakens to the spiritual life, the laws, he expands 10,000-fold. When we recognize that the sacred silence is a place from which we recognize our oneness and our wholeness, the divine infinite made manifest is expressing. So I invite you, as you breathe into the silence, to recognize your potentiality, to honor the gifts that are your gifts in this world that are necessary, to shine your light no matter where the darkness may be, to awaken to the truth of who you are. Lay down your stories, for the glory of God is seeking to express itself in, through, and as you. From this day on, will you stand with me in knowing that it is God and say, I am God. I am God. God is me. God is we. Now breathe it in and let's just know and recognizing the oneness and the wholeness that is God. I stand here on holy ground. The very sacred knowingness that each one of us is a perfect light, a perfect truth, a perfect love, perfect beauty, perfect wisdom, perfect creativity, breathing in to the awareness of the indwelling presence that is God. This divine intelligence, love made manifest. This is the truth of life. As I breathe into this knowingness of the oneness, of the wholeness, of the love, oh, how beautiful it is to know that it is my life, your life, all of life So we awaken to our divinity. We awaken to the truth of who we are, the divine made manifest. The I am that I am, me, is a magnificent expression of God that each one of us is. To know that indeed the fullness, the wholeness, the power, the light, the love of God is available to us now because it is us. God as us. Breathe it in. As we move and we master the potentiality of who we are through our gifts, through our time, through our talent, through our divine calling, we illuminate the world. As we move and we heal, revealing the truth of our inherent nature, body, mind, and soul, we stand with each other through the challenges. We shine the light through the darkness, but we are not misled by condition. We stand in the doorway of truth, of the infinite nature that is love expressing, that is light, that is the glory of the one. Breathe it in. God is everywhere. God is everyone. God is my life. God, only God, always God. So we breathe into this divine knowing as it is activated within us. It is ignited. And as we take it out into the world, just like those sky lanterns in Thailand, we illuminate every ounce of our expression and just shine in the light, being that mirror of possibility for those who do not know. We bless them. We invite them in. We see their truth. It is always and only God. And with that, we breathe deep into that stillness, letting it go. With great gratitude for the awareness, for great gratitude for the knowingness, for great gratitude for a community that allows us to grow and glow. We call it so beautiful, and I call it perfect. I call it complete. And knowing that it is God, always and only God, and the beauty and the love and the joy and the light, I allow it to be in the divine activity of the law, and with wonder and awe, and in the sacredness of each person here and those who are yet to come, I let it be, I release it, and we affirm it together, knowing that it is activated with our hearts wide open. And we say, and so it is.